The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Sorry about my voice, and I hope to be with you soon. Tit for tat is what Africa we are looking for. Enough of the way we have been treated worldwide. People don't just regard us anybody at all that's anything to the African. But now we have leaders who are fighting for the just cause of Africans, making them to understand that just as they see themselves to be humans, we are equally same. So whatever treatment that they will give to us, we'll give it back to them. That is how life's supposed to be. For no reason, our leaders, those in the democratic elected, have allowed these people to treat us this way. But now, the narrative is changing because Africa is now in the revolutionary stage where we are fighting for what rightful belong to the African and how we should be treated. We are not allowing any less treatment. According to our all in all, our Savior, Protector, the Unifier, the Messiah, the King of Kings, the Most Loud, General Assimi Goïta, Mali has announced that U.S. nationals visiting the West African country will require to post a bond of up to 10,000 for business and tourist visas in response to a similar requirement the Trump administration has imposed on its citizens. The U.S. Embassy in Mali said on Friday the fee has been introduced to reinforce Washington's commitment to protecting American borders and safeguarding U.S. national security. Mali Foreign Minister said on Sunday the bond had been imposed unilaterally and it has decided to establish an identical visa program for U.S. citizens. The visa policy shift comes despite moves to improve diplomatic relations between the two countries. In July, U.S. officials visited Mali to discuss counter-terrorism cooperation and economic partnership, including potential access to Mali's gold and lithium reserves. Relations deteriorated after a coup in Mali in 2021 led to General Assimi Goïta sweeping to power.
In this press release, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Mali has learned of the implementation by the United States of America, starting October 23, 2025, of a pilot visa deposit program for Malian nationals eligible for a B1, B2 business or tourist visa and the payment of a deposit of $5,000 or $10,000 to obtain the visa. The ministry, while acknowledging this measure, deplores the unilateral decision of the American government which undermines the provisions of the agreement on the establishment of the multiple entry long-term visa between the two states which entered into force on April 14, 2005. In application of reciprocity, Mali decides to establish an identical visa program imposing on American nationals the same conditions and requirements as those applied to Malian citizens. The ministry recalls that Mali has always collaborated with the United States of America in the fight against illegal immigration while respecting the law and human dignity. Finally, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation reaffirms the commitment of the government of Mali to promote fruitful cooperative relations with the United States of America within the framework of dialogue and mutual respect.
We are seeing a very different dynamics in Africa. If the United States of America is doing whatsoever just simple because they don't want Africa citizens in their countries, we have to do that. After all, they just can't be moving into Africa as if Africa is their backyard. And this is what we need all our leaders to be doing to them. We have to punish them anytime that they punish us. This is what gives us the power and the sovereignty. Enough of this treatment we receive from these people. He expelled French troops and brought in mercenaries from Russia Wagner Group, which is under Moscow Defense Ministry. They have since been replaced by African corps. Last week, Burkina Faso military government refused to take in deportees from US as Washington suspended issuing visas in the West African nation. This is amazing. We need to decide what we think is best. We cannot allow other people to always come into the continent to be treating us the way they want. Africa, we are the ones that will let the world treat us the way we want them to treat us. Like those in the democratic elected, giving us conditions, we have to accept deportees before we'll be allowed to get visas to travel there. It's because of business and other things. If not, if we don't leave African countries to these places, we'll be fine. It's just like they sold the false narrative to the African, to the point that the African today is always fighting to get there. If not, we are okay living here. People should not use visas as a weapon to fight against us. These are all weapons that they are using against the African, not necessarily using equipment. Before we understand, sanctions are all weapons that these people are using to fight us, and that is why we call it trade war. This is a war without us seeing weapons, but there are different kinds of weapons that we use depending on the kind of circumstances the war is. I am so proud to be an African simply because of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the leaders that we have there. Any other African country would have said yes, bow to their request. They will be imposing sanctions, forcing us to do things that we think are not good for us. But because of the visa, whatever reason, we see that these people will always submit, those in the democratic elected. But our all in all is not doing that, and we need to understand most of us love these visas and whatever, and some of us in Africa will see this not to be good, but this is a good move, because if we don't start treating them the way they treat us, we will never get the recognition. See the way they scrutinize us, the things that they force us to even bring on board to prove when we want to enter their countries. Here they can just get up and come to Africa without any of these things, or going through all these things that we go through when we want to get there. So we need to understand the African first. Let's put our personal interest first and fight for that global recognition, so that our generations that will come wouldn't have to go through this. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Mali.